Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I am Dondi from FloraCraft. And as you can see, we're going to do this pumpkin. We call it a pumpkin wreath. It's just another idea to put on your door for fall Thanksgiving time. And it's done on our half 10-inch ball. And then it has a little 4x2 arranger on the bottom for your florals. Let's get started. We also have Tony on chat. She is gonna do her best to get all your answers or questions answered today for you. And if we can go ahead down to overview, I can show you the materials I found at Michael's. So this is our 10-inch half ball. So it's got a 10-inch diameter, half ball, white. And then this is the little 4x2 disc. So it's 2 inches deep, 4 inches across. Also found this mesh at Michael's. It's orange mesh, and then it has this fun little jute string through it. And then for the florals, I found these yummy off-white mums. I just picked up one bush of those. And then for a fun filler, I found this faux eucalyptus bush. It's a pretty good sized bush. I don't know that you'll use it all, but some type of eucalyptus or some kind of filler will be great. And then I found this Dusty Miller, and I just liked it because it had these real big leaves. Any dusty, muted colored leaf will work. I just kind of fell in love with these at Michael's. So you'll need one stem of those. And then I went out in the yard with a saw and cut a little piece of dead branch off for the stem. So any branch or twig or branch that you find out in your yard will work for that stem. You're gonna need some scissors to cut your mesh and some wire cutters to cut your stems, and then some kind of knife to cut any serrated edge knife or saw. We're just going to cut a flat spot on the bottom, and that's where we're going to secure your arranger, and then just a flat spot on the top for your stem to attach. We'll need a glue gun to add our stem. This is a low temp glue gun, and use the low temp glue gun with the foam, because a lot of the times the high temp gets so hot that it'll melt your foam. So it's best to use low temp. And I found this at Michael's also. It's a CraftSmart glue gun. Some of the glue guns even have high or low options, which is nice. And then to secure the mesh, we're going to use these greening pins and U-shaped pins, S pins. There's a lot of different names for them, but it's basically just a U-shaped pin that secures items to the foam. And then to attach the little arranger to the bottom, I'm just going to use a couple of these little craft sticks. Any craft stick will work, a skewer, a dowel, anything you have. Even a piece of your stem from your florals will work for this. All right. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to say maybe about 1.5 inches up from the edge of the ball. Just going to cut a little flat spot. To secure your disc to. And then right opposite of that, We are going to cut just about an inch up from the edge, just one little flat spot. And that's where we're going to insert the stem. I'll show you from that view so you can kind of see the bottom and the top cut on there. And then I want to remind everyone that the class is being recorded. So if you get behind or you miss a spot, it'll be on Michael's website. 24 to 48 hours, I believe is about. All right, so let's open up the mesh. We're going to use this right off the roll. You don't have to cut it into pieces. Oh, and when I gather, just gather it up. Just gather it real tight. And then I always like to just make a clean cut at the end so you don't have all those little strings hanging. And we're going to start right at the bottom of the ball. And when this is where you're going to use your floral pins. So when you're floral pinning this in place, just remember to leave a little section open because you're going to want a clean spot to be able to insert the little skewers to attach the little disc. So just go kind of over to the edge. And floral pin that in there just like that. So you're just kind of straddling the mesh with the pin. And then gather it kind of loosely. You don't want it on here real tight because you want to give it a little dimension. But when you pin it on, don't pull it real tight. Leave it a little bit loose like that. So you have a little sticking out. And then bring it up right to the edge of your cut. And pin it again at the top. And then you're just gonna fold it back and bring it right along next to your first. And if sometimes when I was working with it, I noticed that it kept wanting to scooch off the edge. So if you want to just catch a little of this edge so that it doesn't want to.
Dondi, can you move it up just a tad bit so they can see you kind of off the screen?
Sorry. So I just put a little pin right there on the edge, just so that this doesn't want to slide off the edge of the ball. Kind of holds it in place for you a little bit. And then just another row. And like I said, real loose. So it almost makes another groove up for your pumpkin. And right to the bottom edge of your cut.
Donnie, it looks like we somehow missed the green disc on this supply list. So do we have a solution once we get there, what we could use instead?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, actually. So this is what we're going to do. And I apologize for that. So this is what we're going to do. So instead of taking your first loop all the way to the bottom and going all the way to the bottom, let's leave a little of this open. And then we'll have a nice little edge to be able to still insert our florals.
Always with an easy craft solution. So we apologize for the mistake, but we will still make it look great.
It'll still be beautiful. And if you have any scrap foam, if you have a chunk of foam that's sitting around your house that you can just cut into a little shape to put on there, I mean, all we're doing is inserting the florals into it. So any little piece of foam, any little scrap piece that you might happen to have would work in place of that disc. but we're gonna do it without it. Just to show you guys. Okay, and that's the third. So there's 1, 2, 3, and see how they're nice and fluffy. So you're giving it a little dimension. And then from that top edge, we're gonna make another row. And then we're gonna go right before the edge of that cut. Right before the edge of that cut. So we're gonna leave a little room for your florals. And really, you can kind of wiggle the florals in between this mesh too. I've done that when I've made mesh wreaths.
We also do with a hollow half ball.
The only thing with the hollow half ball is all of your pins aren't gonna be as secure. I guess if you glued your pins in place or, yeah, because the pins are so long and those hollow half balls are, I think the thickness is like maybe a half to 3/4 of an inch. So these would all be sticking through the ball. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else you would secure the mesh if you didn't pin it. It's really hard to glue. All right, and we're just continuing to wrap this back and forth, leave it a little bit loose to give it dimension, and then come almost to the edge of your cut, leaving that little bit of space for your florals. And again, you bring it up to the top, push it right next to the last pin that you just put in, and secure it again. Up it out a little, right next to the pin at the bottom, a little bit up from your cut. Do it again, and if you want, you can add a little bit of glue to these pins and help them hold in place a little bit. They hold in there pretty nice, but if it's going to be on a door and be jiggled around, you might want to add a little glue. All right, and then back down to the bottom. Gather it up a little. Slide it over. And pin it real tight next to the last pin. Have any questions so far?
I have a question. If you could make animal faces like this, just a good idea.
Covering a ball like this with, sure. Sure. Could even put a face on your pumpkin if you'd like.
If someone has a full 10-inch ball, what would you suggest to cut that?
Well, you'd need quite a long blade. So what I use here in the shop is actually, it's called a drywall saw. So it has like a maybe a 14-inch blade on it. That's what I use when I want to make big cuts. But I know not everyone has a drywall saw hanging around. So what was the Michaels? Hang on a second.
Some other people use an electric meat knife and a bread knife.
Yes, yes, that would be perfect. Bread knife, I know that they work. This is also another item they have at Michael's in the cake decorating. And it's a cake knife, I guess. You bakers will know, but it's from Wilton, it's from Michael's, and it's long enough that you'd be able to get through from side to side pretty well, and it's pretty sharp. Not nearly as sharp as a saw or a bread knife, but it's one thing that you can find at Michael's that would work. But absolutely, bread knife, any long serrated blade will work just fine. I think serrated is the key. You just don't really want a straight edge. It's just not the best tool for our foam. I'm going to snug this right up to the last pin. Pin it in place. And again, we got top. Do we know where everyone's calling from, Tony?
We had quite a few at the beginning, let us know. So let me scroll way up here. We have Michigan, Maryland, Dallas, Texas, Boise, Idaho, see New York, more Texas, Iowa, Arizona, New Hampshire, California, Utah, some more New York and New Hampshire, Florida, Illinois, Wisconsin, Georgia, all over the
Nice.
place today.
My goodness, yes. Well, we are broadcasting from the little town of Ludington, Michigan, where we have our FloraCraft headquarters. We have people crafting along today.
Ooh, we have some people from Hawaii. I want to go there.
Oh, yay.
Kentucky, Louisiana, Oregon, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, Switzerland. Wow.
All right, it looks like we're getting towards the end. I just have one more little wrap here. And look at, we're right at the end of our tool. All right, and then we're just going to cut that off flush. And secure it down. And then on this side, I'll go ahead and keep this side from slipping to the back. We'll just put a pin right there on the side. All right. We have room for our florals at the bottom. And then you can just take this time to kind of fluff it out a little bit. See your little here. All right. Grab our wire cutters. Well, let's start with our fall florals. And this, like I said, can be any fall florals. You get to pick the color and the style of the flower. And Michael's has so many right now to choose from.
We have some questions.
Okay.
Can you add sequin ribbon or maybe black ribbon to simulate lines to the pumpkin?
Beautiful, absolutely. There's plenty of room to add them to, and you can even, if you wanted, if you didn't glue your pins in, you can even pop the pin out real quick, add whatever you're adding in, and then pin it right back in with that same pin.
Yes, we have other ideas on here of adding extra tulle to make the pumpkin fluffier or doing white tulle to make a skeleton face.
Very nice. See, I love it. Perfect. Yes, all awesome ideas. So florals, since we don't have our arranger, like I showed everybody in the beginning, we are just gonna put these in at an angle. So they kind of angle out and down. Something like that. And all I did was make a small little grouping along the bottom of the pumpkin. And two, I don't know if you saw this, but I like to, how the leaves are way down here. So instead of clipping it off and not using that leaf, I just go ahead and push that up there, and it makes a nice little filler around your flowers. And I do that with all of the stems. So you're gonna push them all these branch or these leaves up. And so we get to use them all. And I'm cutting these stems to, let's say 4, I can tell you. They are about 5 inches, and that 5 or 6 inches, and that'll give you enough to come out from the bottom and stick out a little bit at the base.
Donnie, would you also show how if the people that have the green disc, how you would attach that? So
Yeah.
they'd be doing the same thing, but in the green disc.
Yes, I will. So any kind of a skewer or dowel, or like I said before, you could even use like some of your leftover floral stems. So just take a little bit of glue. Pop a few of, if you're using these little ones, I would use a few of them. And stick them in the center. And I'm sticking them all in the center because then your stems are less likely to be in the way of your stems. And then I would just glue it right there to the bottom. And if that happens, use your wire cutters and just push that back in there. And that'll secure it nice to the bottom. You want to make sure it's flush with the back of it, I guess, but so it doesn't push out from the wall. But that's all you would do if you have some kind of little piece of foam, and then that'll give you this whole outside edge to arrange into. Okay. All right. Again, about 5 or 6 inch stem. And we're just kind of gotta go along here and add them in here and there. Not all touching because we're gonna add the filler and the leaves. We want room for them. So just kind of a grouping of them is fine. And we can always add more if we want to. So that's kind of good for now. It gives us a good base, and we'll start filling in with the greens and see if we need any more. And then just be sure to save one of the flowers for up top. So we'll set him aside. Right, and then I took the eucalyptus and I left this little bit on the bottom and cut it right before that last little group of them. And then we'll use these shorter ones if we need them. We need one for up top, but so these I just took and went in between all these flowers. And here. And that's all we're doing is just filling in between. No rhyme or reason. And then if you want one up a little higher, separate out that mesh. So you find foam in there and pop it right in there. And these two, if you want to glue them in place, they'll be held a little more secure, but oh, this one isn't even in there. But they do hold pretty good by themselves. And let's see, we'll put another one down here at the bottom. We'll put one on this side. And then, like I said, if you want one to be up the side a little higher, you can separate out your mesh. Find foam in there and you can put it right in the foam. And just push your mesh back together, just like that. Like we have a little hole right there. That's nice. We'll put up here, we might have to separate that mesh again. Just pull it apart between the grooves there and insert some. All right, well, let's save that aside and start in with our Dusty Miller or whatever you found or can find at Michael's will work just fine. I just like these because they had such big leaves. They do have other styles there, but this I'm just cutting into pieces. So I just cut off a little bit of the top as one filler. And then this next piece just has like 2 leaves. So I'm going to cut it right there. That'll give me that. So you're going to get a lot out of the stem. And then there's another 2. So go ahead and cut those. And then this little branch off to the side would be a nice little filler. And these are kind of far apart. I'm going to go ahead and use those separate. So I'll just use those one by one. Little stem for that. And then these single ones, I'm going to go ahead and do on either side. And again, if this is going to be on a door or somewhere where it's going to be windy or moved around a lot, you might want to glue all these florals in. We put one on that side, we'll put one on this side. Oh, I hit my pin. There we go. All right, and then these other leaves that I cut apart, we are just going to pop in to the bottom. And they will also be used as filler here and there.
They could use burlap if they don't have the orange mesh or any other types of
Absolutely.
ribbon.
When I'm finished, I'm going to show a couple more options of some coverings that you could do, a different way that you can put the mesh on and some other ideas, but burlap would be super cute. Could do ribbons. Just string a bunch of different ribbons across there would be cute. All right, I'll put one more of these right over here. And that's gonna do it for the leaves. And any leaf will work on this. Pumpkin leaves would be ideal, but I didn't find any pumpkin leaves. Well, that's it. There are a couple more flowers we could pop in here that are still on the stem of the bush. Maybe another one up here. And then on this side. Again, you just separate out that mesh until you find a spot to push it in.
Last greenery called
Dusty Miller.
Dusty Miller.
Yep, and they have all different styles of it there at Michael's. All right. Then for the stem, like I said, I just went out in the woods out here by the studio and just found this little crooked branch and just cut the end up off of it with a little saw I had. You could even just break it off if it's a small enough stick and it can break. You can just break it off because you're not going to see that end. And then I like to use the raw end that was already out in the woods just to give it a little something fun. And then I just figure out about how wide it or how deep your little hole has to be. So you make a little indent with your stick. See how you can see how big that needs to be cut out. And then I just took my knife and just even a 1/4 inch down, doesn't have to be a lot, but you just want to make a little groove to a little hole to insert that stem so it has something to hold on to. So just cut a bunch of lines through. Can't breathe any. And kind of dig it out. Get a drink. Right.
What size is the green foam disc?
It's a 4x2, so it's 2 inches thick and it's 4-inch diameter. All right, and then once you have that carved out of there a little bit, see if your stick fits, which it does. You make a nice little hole for it. And then pour some glue in. And go ahead and put quite a bit in there because you don't want it to come back out. And then pop that in place. Hold it for a minute so you know that it's secure. All right. And then we saved the little white flower for the top. Go ahead and insert that. And insert your little filler up there. You want another little piece on the other side, maybe. All right. Oh. For the hanger, this is another thing that you can do with your extra stem that you're going to throw away from your bush that you cut off. Just take a little piece of this, make a little U shape like that, and then bend the feet up at a 90-degree angle. So where are you? Something like that. Now we're going to use that for a hanger in the back. So we're going to put quite a bit of glue on this. Because this is really smooth, so it don't have any texture to hold into the foam. So you're going to want to glue that really good. And insert those little feet that you bent. Use your wire cutters to push it in, and then you won't get glue on your fingers. So you're going to push that in. And then I would go ahead and put glue right over the top of where it inserts. And that's going to make sure that that holds in there really nice for you. So that's just a good way to use up these stems.
Don, do you want to show those side by side so people can see that even if we don't have the green disc, how great it still turned out?
I absolutely can do that. So here is the, whoops, we didn't have a disc. So really, I mean, I don't see a whole lot of difference. Do you guys? I didn't put the florals up as high on this one, which you can, I see now that they're side by side, but that's just the way that I positioned them. So if I was to push all these up where the other ones are, they're pretty close. So another technique with the mesh I've seen, I'll push that aside. Is people cut these little squares. So this is about a 10 by 10 square of mesh. And then you roll it up into this tight little tube. Oh, I didn't cut my phone yet. So you would still cut the bottom of your ball off and the top for your stem. And then roll these up. And then this would make quite a bit bigger pumpkin because you're going to be that far out from the edge. So this is going to make a pretty big pumpkin, but it's just another way to fill this up. And you just keep making these little curly cues. And floral pin or greening pin or whatever you want to call it in there. And if you did this, you could even use like a bunch of different colors of mesh. You wouldn't have to do it just orange. You could make it, you know, a stripe of different colors. It'd be fun. But this is all you would do is just keep on pinning on these. And it's just gonna make a fun, crazy, puffy pumpkin. I'm not gonna take the time to do it all, but I'll put a few more on there. And again, these are just 10 by 10 squares of mesh. I just roll them up into a tight square or tight tube, about an inch or so. And just all along, side by side, we're just pinning them in, and you would fill the entire pumpkin up. And like I said, it's going to be a lot bigger because it's sticking out about 3 inches instead of just that little strip of mesh. And you just fold it in half and place it on there and pin where the fold is. You guys get the idea? So then that would be, that's what your pumpkin would look like all over. It would just be fun and puffy and cute. I've seen a lot of wreaths done with these tubes of mesh. So another way you could cover that's kind of fun, and I cut, this is felt. You could use fabric just as well. And also at Michael's, we have FloraCraft has a 3-piece toolkit, and in that toolkit, there's a rasp and a knife, but this is our tuck tool, we call it. So if you cut squares of fabric or whatever you choose to use, you could also cover this just by, you just lay the square right on your foam. You take your tuck tool and you tuck it in. So the bigger the squares of fabric, the bigger your pumpkin's gonna be because they're gonna stick out further. I just cut these small ones just to show you the technique. But it's just as simple as that. And you just keep going until you get the whole thing covered. And this could be done with ribbons too. If you just cut links of ribbon and lay it on there and just pop them in. It's so easy. This would actually be a really good, well, I don't know about cutting the squares, but this would be a good one for the kiddos to do. Something they could do really easy. You're just laying it down and poke it in right next to one before. And that'll just give you a fun textured looking pumpkin. And if you did a row of the orange and then maybe a row of a darker orange, might be able to simulate the grooves in a pumpkin. So that's another idea with punched fabric. And then another way you can cover them is you could do the whole thing with just orange blossoms. So you would cut them to about 2 inches and just start inserting them in. Cover the entire pumpkin with orange blossoms. And then you'd have a floral pumpkin. You wouldn't necessarily need the big florals on the bottom. You would just cover the entire pumpkin with blossoms. And you'd still do your stem at the top.
Hey, Don, do this, Felicia. Only because I've gotten a couple of requests that are coming in. When you get through with completing this particular pumpkin or the different options, would you be able to provide us a picture of those? Everyone is asking to see this particular one that you're doing once it's finished.
This,
Yes.
the floral one,
Yes.
to send it to Michael's when it's finished?
Yes, and then we can add it to as a picture with the video once it gets uploaded to the system.
Oh, good idea. Sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys like it. So yep, that's all we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this whole ball, half ball, with florals. And then I do have a little baby one that I did earlier. So that's kind of what it's gonna look like. This is a full one that I actually did on a little 3-inch ball. And I just covered it all in little orange mums. And then used a little leaf from the mums. And this is just a piece of grapevine garland. And I just cut it off the end of the garland. I thought that was kind of a cute little stem too. How we doing on time, Tony? All right, pop these last few in and you guys can kind of get an idea.
We have a couple questions. Would
Oh, good.
using the punch needle tool work to poke those in? Is that, I guess, is the flowers maybe? Or using a Phillips head screwdriver? That might be a little aggressive on the fabric, depending.
Yeah, as long as it's a skinny screwdriver, because I don't know if you can see how, let me get here. See how thin the edge of that is? So it has to be, and that's maybe I'd say about an eighth, maybe an eighth of an inch thick or a little less. And you just don't want the tool that you're tucking with to be so big that it makes such a big hole that the fabric can come out easily. So the thinner the tuck tool, the better it'll stay in for you. I know that there are some pretty skinny screwdrivers out there that have a little tiny head on them for tiny screws, so that could work.
Dondi, do you know where in store they could find our toolkit? In which department?
That should be right in our foam section, correct? I believe it's right in our foam section.
I did share the link online on michaels.com.
Okay. So that's kind of what your floral pumpkin's gonna look like. But yes, I will share a picture. I'll finish it up and send a picture. But that's just another fun texture. So you have your fabric, your florals, or a fun different way to apply the mesh to your pumpkin. Right, since we have a little bit of time, do you want to see our upcoming crafts? So this one is coming up on September 30th, and I think that, here I am, and I think that Felicia will share the links on where to sign up for it. So I'm going to show you how to do the basic wreath itself, and then you can use that during the fall before Halloween. So you'll learn the technique of the wreath, and then closer to Halloween, I'll show you how to just add her to the existing wreath for a fun little add-in for Halloween. Super simple. These picks are all at Michael's. The hat, the legs, and the broom is just a pick. So it's so simple to put together. And the little cape is just made out of tulle. So, and then on October 14th, we're going to get a little spooky. So the house frame, or the house itself is a foam block that I just cut out. I cut the windows out with our clean cut foam cutter. It's a heated tool that heats the foam and cuts out those fun little intricate shapes. Use some scrapbooking paper and some glitter and some fun florals. So we'll show you how to do that one on October 14th. Do we have any other questions? No other questions. All right.
Hey, I just wanted to remind you, those two classes that Donnie just mentioned, if you don't see them today, please look for them on tomorrow. They should be on our website. So if they don't see them now, they should see them tomorrow.
Okay. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this class. Happy crafting, and thanks for making it fun with FloraCraft.